सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
The Print's reputation for granular on-ground reporting and top-flight analysis of domestic and international issues has earned us the loyalty and support of viewers like you. But keeping our journalism going needs money. I appeal to you again to take a subscription to The Print. You can find the link in the description below. The old general was borne to his grave by a wall of pallbearers, their combat fatigues punctuated by bright floral offerings, fruit, and a giant paper star with 6 corners representing the presence of God within the Naga nation. The troops he had commanded fired salutes, perhaps unaware of the solemnity of the moment. Some local urchins scrambled to collect the empty cartridges as souvenirs. For more than 5 decades, he had fought the Indians. Even a year after his death, Shangwang Shangyung Kaplang featured on government wanted lists. In the summer of 2015, seeking to sabotage a peace process with rival groups, Kaplang had ordered his ethnic-Meitei allies to ambush an Indian army patrol. 18 soldiers were killed. Furious, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had ordered cross-border raids into Myanmar, and the National Investigation Agency filed murder charges. Age and illness denied justice to India in Kaplang's case. But now it's letting others involved in killing its soldiers slip away one by one. Last week, hundreds of women turned out to stop soldiers from arresting Moirangthem Uttam, alias Uttam, a fugitive military leader sought by the NIA for his direct role in the 4 June 2015 attack by the ethnic-Meitei Kangle Yawal Kanna Loop, KYKL, and the Kangle Park Communist Party. Fearing loss of civilian lives in a long standoff, the army says that it turned over the 12 arrested insurgents, including Moirangthem, to a local leader. There's no word, though, on who that local leader is and if he will take responsibility for handing the killer over to face trial. To some in Manipur, mired in a brutal civil war, Moirangthem is a hero defending his people against attack from Kuki vigilantes. They don't want him to go to jail. KYKL's Moirangthem, though, isn't the only killer of Indian soldiers who has shown up since the strikes. Nikki Sumi, the National Socialist Council of Nagaland, Kaplang, armed wing commander, accused by the NIA of having, and I quote, directed the terrorist act, signed on to a peace deal in 2020. It's been extended every year since. Earlier this year, he openly received armed salutes from a cadre of the group at a public parade in Nagaland, appearing resplendent in revolutionary chic, complete with aviator sunglasses and a rakishly angled red beret. Starson Lamkang, named by the NIA as among the conspirators, also surrendered to the Indian Army in December 2020. The terms of the surrender deal mean he is not being prosecuted for the attack, and we don't know what will eventually happen. Like their Naga allies, intelligence officials have told The Print, KYKL leaders have been operating in plain sight of Indian intelligence services. Namoija Mokendra Singh, chair of the KYKL, crossed from the Taga camp in Myanmar earlier this summer to help organized ethnic cleansing operations against Kuki settlements in the Imphal foothills. KYKL commanders like Thudam Thoiba and S. Mangal are also back, and again being protected by these mysterious, powerful local politicians. The return of the killers represents, among other things, the poor military results of the much-hyped campaign seeking military retribution across the border. In 2015, 8 personnel of the 21 Para-Regiment received gallantry medals for the attack on Onzia, the base where Moirangthem was reportedly hiding out. A second operation targeted a camp at Ponyo, again just across the border in Myanmar's Sagaing province, which was used by Niki Sumi. Even though Additional Director General of Military Operations Major General Randhir Kapoor asserted, and I quote, significant casualties were inflicted, no evidence ever emerged to support this claim. Bibhu Prasad Rotre, a historian with expertise in Indian internal security, wrote that the strike, I quote, had inflicted no damage on the NSCNK's potential. Sumi, along with the KYKL military unit, had apparently retreated before the strikes deep into Myanmar long before Indian soldiers landed. Further raids were carried out in 2016, targeting an NSCN camp near Troilu, but proved equally ineffective. Eyewitness accounts of the ambush have slowly emerged through the custodial interrogation of the couple of insurgents the NIA has arrested, though some parts of it may be inadmissible for the purposes of trial. Among the men the NIA arrested was Naurem Premkanta Singh from Kaching, south of Imphal. Following an unsuccessful attempt to join the Manipur police, Naurem told the NIA in testimony obtained by ThePrint, the KYKL had recruited him to serve as a cook. Living at the camp, Naurem learnt the basics of jungle warfare and ended up becoming a fighter. His skills mainly used to extract money from goods and narcotics transiting through the border town of Thongren. Then on 2 June 2015, Naurem and other KYKL and KCP cadres were moved close to the India-Myanmar border, travelling in auto rickshaws to an old war cemetery where they gathered. There, they changed into combat fatigues and were handed weapons. Moirangthem, who was leading the assault unit, guided them through the jungle paths across the border until they reached the outskirts of Munan village. Last-minute group photos were taken of the group, later discovered by investigators, to document the team. 4 units with 5 members each, Naurem alleged, were assigned special responsibilities. A pressure cooker packed with ammonium nitrate and fuel oil was planted on the side of the road to act as an impromptu mine. As the first army vehicle slowed in response to the explosion, Moirangthem threw a hand grenade and opened fire. The army began responding by firing mortars to protect itself, but the insurgents retreated rapidly, leaving behind 2 of their own dead, Raja Lungkame of Tamenglong and Keshak Rajan Singh of Lamlai. 18 soldiers were dead by that point. From 4 to 7 June, the ambush team retreated back into Myanmar, relentlessly shadowed, Naurem recalled, by an Indian Army helicopter. The helicopter, though, didn't succeed in detecting their movement, and the insurgents successfully concealed their return to Myanmar. 5 cadres of KCP and KYKL waited for us and congratulated us, Naurem told the NIA. Even though the ambush was executed with ruthless precision, the political fallout hurt the NSCNK. Faced with intense pressure from the Indian government, the Tatmadaw, or Burma's military, evicted Yung Ong, Khaplang's nephew and leader of an NSCNK faction, from the group's headquarters at Taga in 2019. Ethnic-Meitei groups, as well as the United Liberation Front of Assam and the National Democratic Front of Bodoland, were also kicked out of the camp. Fighters were even handed over to India, though not the suspects in the killings of the soldiers. Within months though, as the Tatmadaw's hold inside Myanmar disintegrated, it turned to ethnic Meitei groups to serve as mercenaries. Last year, the Tatmadaw vacated Taga altogether to meet counter-insurgency pressures elsewhere. Ethnic Meitei insurgents began rebuilding their presence across the border. Ethnic Meitei groups, the journalist Rajiv Bhattacharya reported, were actually seen in the Ethnic-Naga area of Hoyat, using it as a base to begin operations again inside Manipur. This time, many of those operations supported ethnic Meitei in their savage war against the Kuki. For its part, the NSCNK faction led by Yung Ong also resumed setting up bases in the region, acting as a kind of provider of services to the Tatmadaw. The fighting inside Myanmar also involves rival configurations, I should add. Earlier this year, militia-linked democratic opposition groups and Kuki insurgents dropped drone-borne incendiaries on a KYKL camp. Faced with escalating ethnic violence in Manipur and a stalled peace process in Nagaland, New Delhi faces some really impossible choices. Letting Naga insurgents return to Nagaland strengthens those groups who are willing to negotiate an autonomy deal that could end the decades-long conflict in the state. And the government is wary of acting hard against ethnic-Meitei groups for fear of reigniting a full-blown insurgency with ties to the anti-Tox Naga groups. In insurgencies across the world, deals involving the forgiveness of past crimes have been necessary. But is this the price India should be willing to pay? In our case, it isn't just forgetting the past sacrifices of our soldiers that is being asked for. Ever since independence, India has sought to hand over control of the Northeast to ethnic contractors and traditional leaders, allowing them to raise funds through brazen extortion and drug running. In many cases, so-called surrendered groups retain their weapons and receive stipends from the government even though they violate ceasefire conditions. You don't need to take my word for it, just look it up on YouTube. For a durable peace, India has to establish that the state and its laws have real meaning. Letting Moirangthem walk free marks a very big step in the wrong direction. I'm Praveen Swami and I'm National Security Editor of ThePrint. Thank you for watching Security Code.